behaviors that are done correctly, so whether that's like Halima's doing there, putting her hip up to the mesh and getting poked in the hip with a stick, or like Bondi was doing going to his station, they're also trained to open their jaws nice and wide, or like you saw earlier, that speaking behavior. All that behavior, when it's done correctly, gets rewarded with a little meatball. That's why we call it positive reinforcement. If they don't give a correct behavior, if we give them a cue and they don't do the behavior we're looking for, if they do a different behavior, we don't punish them at all. There's no negative reinforcement, purely positive. If they don't do the right thing, you just ignore it, give the cue again. One tool that's really important for the trainers, you see that red ball on the end of the stick. Halima was just using that. That's called a target stick. The cat knows that when they touch their nose at the end of that stick, they get a little meatball reward. And the target is a really valuable tool for training a whole variety of behaviors. Now, one thing you will not see our trainers do, you won't see them stick their hands or fingers through the mesh at all. Cheetahs are wild cats. We do treat them as wild cats. It means we don't have any physical contact with them because they do have strong claws and they have very, very sharp teeth. They're not like a dog where they're doing this training for the benefit of socializing with us. They are doing this training because they get the meat, and that's that. And we don't want them confusing our fingers with the meat we're giving out. Now, if you guys have been over to our Savannah Base Camp exhibit, which is just over there past the pigs, in between the pigs and the elephants, you'll maybe have learned a little bit about some of the conservation work we do with cheetahs here. Cheetahs are a highly endangered species out in the wild where they live in Africa and Western Asia. And the Dallas Zoo is proud to partner with an organization called Cheetah Conservation Fund that's based out of Namibia in Southwest Africa. It works not only with cheetahs themselves, but also with the communities of people that have to live alongside cheetahs. We've been working with Cheetah Conservation Fund for a number of years, and we're proud to continue working with them. Now, part of your donation here today, just by visiting the zoo and giving your entrance fee, that money, in part, goes to the Dallas Zoo's Conservation Fund. So in a very small part, just by visiting the zoo, you guys are helping save cheetahs in the wild, which is a very important thing. Now, you've been seeing Halima back there. She's getting poked in the hip with a stick. That's just one of the behaviors we do that helps us take a little bit better care of our cheetahs here at the zoo. That's a practice for when they have to get shots. Just like you have to go to the doctor and get shots, our cats have to get annual vaccines. So we train them to present their hips and then get poked in the hip with a stick. Now, obviously, the stick doesn't hurt quite as bad as getting poked with a needle, but it's real good practice and it makes it a lot easier than darting our cats. And again, when she does that, she gets that meatball reward. For both our cats, they only get about a pound of meat at this training, and we're coming right down to the end of our meat. Cats don't work for free, so once we're done with the meat there, that's going to be the end of our formal training. But myself, Sarah, and Brandon, we are going to be hanging around for about another 10 minutes or so. If you guys want to ask any questions that didn't get answered during my little talk here, you can also take pictures. Our cheetahs are going to be in this yard as well for about another 10-15 minutes. So you can get some nice up-close pictures. Ask